Did y'all hear this bull about the new SNAP benefits rules?
They're trying to make everybody reapply for their food stamps benefits. Are you kidding me?
I feel like these people sit around and try to think about how they can make poor people mad or how they can make poor people's lives worse. Because nothing that these people have ever come up with or put in place make any kind of sense.
Nothing that you're saying is making any sense.
You're requiring every SNAP participant to reapply as part of a crackdown on fraud. You pointed out data from 29 states showing 186,000 deceased individuals were still receiving benefits. 120 people under arrest for fraud so far.
SNAP participants are already required to recertify their application information every 6 to 12 months. And they're also required to update work history, income, et cetera, to make sure that they're still qualifying for SNAP along the way, or they'll get kicked off the program.
The Trump administration just floated a plan to force every single SNAP recipient, seniors, parents, disabled people, low-income workers, to reapply from scratch to prove they deserve food. Not because there's evidence of mass fraud. No, not because it helps families, but because starving people is now a political tactic.
Stop getting your news from TikTok. It is hard to be this mistaken in the age of the internet, but she has outdone herself, and I am impressed.
Now, according to the article that I read, they found 186,000 people who were receiving food stamps that were deceased. Now, this can only happen if the people were elderly or if they died from some sort of tragic accident and the family doesn't come in and report that they're dead. So instead of fixing the broken system, you make people reapply. And how is that fixing fraud?
Well, I suppose it would fix it, because if they try to reapply and it's finally now in the system that that person is no longer with us, well, then there you go. Whoever is trying to apply for that person who is no longer with us theoretically should not be able to get the food stamps in that person's name anymore. That's how you fix the fraud. How do you not know that?
They already cut off full benefits during a government shutdown they created. They already told states to undo approved November benefits. And now the next step, make millions of vulnerable Americans jump through impossible hoops just to keep basic groceries. This isn't about efficiency. This isn't about fraud. This isn't about anything else. This is about punishment. This is about humiliation. This is about reminding poor people that their survival can be taken away at any single moment.
Stop it. Get some help.
So y'all know this whole food stamp debacle. First they was not giving it, now they giving it or whatever. Then they said they wasn't giving the percentage. Now they saying they giving all of it. I don't know. It's too much back and forth. They playing with too many people's livelihoods, if you ask me. But anyway, so now they're trying to say that everybody that receives EBT food stamps benefits have to reapply, as if they don't do that already 3 or to 6 months, every 3 to 6 months. Am I correct? So why do they have to do their application? This is just prolonging the process of people getting their benefits and people getting their food for the holidays. It's like y'all buying time because y'all don't spend the money or y'all don't have it. Y'all trying to make up for it. Or y'all just doing it on purpose and being spiteful and mean and evil. They saying it's because it's like over, I think, 100,000, 200,000 deceased people receiving food stamps benefits. Talking about, oh, it's a part of a scam and all this extra stuff. But y'all don't be saying that when the deceased people be getting their Social Security.
What? No, actually, we have an issue with fraud no matter where it comes from. We don't want to see food stamp fraud just as much as we don't want to see SSI fraud.
How they qualify? How is deceased people even receiving food stamps? Because now, to even get approved, you got to talk to an agent or talk to a representative. So I'm confused. I don't know. It's a plot and a scheme set up by Todd.
Well, I think she just debunked her own argument. If, according to her, people have to reapply every few months anyway, then how is it that big of a deal if they have to do it one more time?
Now, 43 million Americans who receive SNAP benefits are now going to have to refile for SNAP benefits in the near future. And when I say the near future, I mean the very, very near future. Very fast. Maybe before 2026. Now, mind you, this is the end of November of 2025 almost, which means we got 1 month left. This is nothing but another way for the President of the United States to still accomplish his goals, guys. This is nothing but another way for them to stop SNAP benefits, food stamps, housing, Section 8, the daycare expenses. This is just another slick way of them doing it. They said, well, we can't find a way to just stop the SNAP benefits completely. So let's find a way to filter it all out legally in a slick fashion, guys. The government is so crooked, man. When have you guys ever heard them pulling a stunt like this, where all recipients has to reapply for it? Now, they do have what they call a every 3 month or every 6 month recertification. Basically, what happens is you have to go get recertified every 3 to 6 months to see if your financial status has changed, if you're making more money, if you're making less money. But in most cases, it's all about taking the benefits from you and giving you less and less and less every time you go get recertified, guys. This is the case. This is a situation that the government is pulling in a slick way just to still cut people completely off.
This is so crazy to me that there are people who are anti-fraud. I can't believe people could sit here and just completely act like it is totally okay to have people abusing the system. But if you're the person who wants to fix it, then there's something wrong with you. I know I keep having to say this, but we actually do want help for people who truly need help, like the elderly, the disabled, orphans, widows, situations like those. And massive amounts of fraud, along with way too many people on the system that really shouldn't be on there in the first place. Situations like those take away from the truly needy and the truly deserving.
And then they want to talk about saving taxpayers' dollars. You want to save taxpayers' dollars? Then figure out how are people able to steal people's food stamps online before they even had a chance to spend it. And then the system now has to come and reimburse people food stamps that somebody else stole.
You do know that the government can work on more than one thing at a time. I just want to throw that out there. That is the thing.
This makes no sense. People already have to reapply every 6 months and every year in order to continue getting their benefits. So the only people who kind of get a little leeway is the elderly, because they're older. They may not can come in as much as the other people can. So I could understand and see where that 186,000 fraud stuff come in. Then another thing, if they're going to implement this, then they need to pay them case managers more money. Because a lot of them are making just above minimum wage, and they're not getting paid enough to deal with all the drama that doing this is going to come with. Pay them people more money, because this right here is bull.
Well, that was probably about the only point that we could agree on, man. Social workers go through way too much for way too little. Just like teachers, police officers, firefighters, or military. It is really weird that we live in this society that glorifies and elevates and pays what I would say more, to me, they're more useless professions, like professional athletes and celebrities. The way that we as a society have them make more than our core people that we need to keep things running and going. I mean, that's just crazy to me.
On top of that, New York requirements and a $186 billion budget cut also taking effect. So what? Somebody died and their heirs started receiving their SNAP benefits? Secretary, what happened?
It's just incredible. And, you know, within the first hour of me being sworn in February, this was one of my very first things that we did. We sent a letter to every state. We said business as usual is over. The status quo is no more. We know that the SNAP program is rife with fraud, but it's all anecdotal. This was last February, that we have no data. How is it true that the taxpayers through the federal government fund this $100 billion program every single year, but we don't even know whether it's being done correctly, what the accountability looks like. We want that data ourselves. As I mentioned, 29 states complied, mostly the red states. And what we have found since we started getting that data late spring of this year is just stunning. As you mentioned, 186,000 deceased individuals receiving benefits, 500,000 people getting more than two times the benefit. So they're getting it in one place and then they're getting it in another place. The same person. We found thousands of individuals that were getting benefits in 3 to 4 or 5, 6 different states. I mean, it is one thing after another. And this is just from the red states. Can you imagine when we get through litigation and we get that data from California, New York, Oregon? We know under Biden, the program increased 40%. Of course, we believe they were trying to buy the election by pushing more and more money out without any accountability. So this is what we're trying to bring under control. And listen, we always knew it was going to be a really big deal. We knew that it was stunning what was happening. But what the shutdown did, that sort of unintended consequence of the Democrats shutting down the government over the last 43, 45 days, is that one of their favored programs is now in the eye of the average everyday American who says this is not okay. Go fix this. My taxpayer dollars should not be spent for this sort of fraud and abuse, and taking it out of the mouths of families that really need the program. There are vulnerable families in America that need this program that aren't getting it because of the fraud and the abuse that now we're going to work to fix.
Unbelievable. I mean, at a minimum, it's embarrassing that nobody looked at this. And it's just like on autopilot, right? And you have to wait for the Trump administration to come in and start looking under every rock. And I would also say it's a massive dereliction of duty, not just from the last administration, but from Congress. How does this happen?
It is absolutely remarkable. And I remember, Maria, going through the confirmation process. And when I did, and I had great conversations with all the Democrats on the Senate Ag Committee. I mean, I was voted 22-0 out of committee, so had really good conversations about the importance of this program. But so many of those Democrats in the Senate Ag Committee would say, we need more money for SNAP, we need more money for SNAP. And I remember sitting in that meeting and saying, I just can't believe that's true. The amount of money that's being spent. This is before, obviously, I'd taken the job and was sworn in and confirmed. But even in those initial conversations, I had seen the growth in the program and knew that just couldn't be correct. But now that the hood is up on the car, the lid has been taken off, it's a whole new day. And I'm excited about it because I think we're going to be able to serve the taxpayers. We're going to be able to serve, the entire country and make the government better, but also serve those families that actually need this program. And that's what's been lost in all of this.
Well, you needed a business sentiment in there. I mean, having a businessman in the Oval Office has a lot of implications and impact. Secretary, that's great. Good to see you this morning. Thank you.
So a lot of the fraud that Republicans, including Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, are talking about is cracking down on folks receiving SNAP who aren't working, or what Secretary Rollins has said is she wants to make sure, and the president said earlier this week, is that the administration wants to make sure that the folks who are receiving SNAP benefits are those who truly need it, in their words. So Republicans have already sought to crack down on error payments, which are just miscalculations from SNAP administrators, et cetera. So we have to stay tuned and figure out exactly what the department is planning on this.
Yeah, Secretary Rollins this week said that 186,000 deceased men and women and children are receiving a check. They say that's coming through SNAP, and they are citing data from 29 states that complied with the USDA's request for information. So Secretary Rollins is teasing an eventual announcement to basically overhaul the SNAP program in the coming weeks. Do we know how the administration is preparing for this overhaul? If you could expand on that, what are they researching?
Yeah, absolutely. It's still a little bit unclear if this reapplication for benefits is something that the secretary is looking at in terms of her overhaul. Republicans already passed a $186 billion cut to SNAP in their reconciliation package earlier this year. So a lot of the GOP priorities that we've seen come up in agriculture policy discussions in the last few years have already really been passed through that reconciliation process. That includes restricting work requirements, making sure that, just cracking down on folks who have children, changing the age of what they describe as a child to make more people subject to work requirements. So a lot of folks will already get kicked off of the program at that point. So it's not 100% clear yet exactly what else the administration has planned. The reapplication piece could be a key part of that, or some other, new paperwork requirement for folks. What has come across to me in my conversations with Republicans is that their top priority is to make sure that undocumented people and only American citizens are receiving SNAP, which is the current law. But they also want to, address that as well.
You can use my Buy Me a Coffee link to buy Leroy a dog treat. Leroy, stop that. You're so cute. Oh, I love you. I love you. You guys steal the show. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Red Dawn Daily with your host, me, Dawn Marie, and sometimes Leroy. Leroy, you're not bored, are you? Leroy, did you know that 9 out of 10 people only watch to see you? Yeah. I'm just kind of here holding space for you. It's true. It's true. Leroy, you're so much fun. You're way more fun than any puppet. Right, Leroy?